What's up, everybody? I hope you're doing well. Well, if you didn't catch the memo yet, the 2021 tax deadline has been extended to May 17th. Woohoo! Woohoo! Dance, dance, dance. Yes, that's right. You got a whole extra month of time. But let's face it, just because the deadline was extended, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have any better idea how to do your taxes than you did before. So in today's video, I'm going to cover just a few tax basics for therapists in private practice and also offer a few resources to help make sure you're equipped for tax season this year or, whatever year you're watching this video. Welcome to Private Practice Skills. I'm Dr. Marie Fang, psychologist in private practice. I post videos offering tools I learned the hard way about starting and growing private practice so that you don't have to. So, taxes. Love them or hate them, we all owe them every single year. So, better to feel empowered to do your taxes properly than kind of rush through them and do a sloppy job and potentially get in trouble or, pay taxes on income that you didn't owe taxes for. I want to save you from that too. But I know from experience that there is so much information out there about how to file your taxes that it can feel completely overwhelming, and it can feel like I don't even know how much of this information I actually need, or where do I even start? Now, I won't lie, I am no tax expert, not in the least. So, for all of the information for today's video, I consulted with a tax expert and pulled all of the information from Herd Bookkeeping and Tax, which if you haven't heard of them, it's an accounting and tax service that specializes in working with therapists. So not only do they have all the information you need for your taxes, but they are specifically tailored to you and me, so there's not all this extra information that applies to other fields and things like that. So, let's get into the video. Since there's absolutely no way to cover all of the tax information you could possibly need in one reasonably length video, we're just going to cover the tax basics for those who are filing as sole proprietors and those who are filing as S corporations in private practice. You may not fall into one of those categories, but chances are most people watching fall into one of those two categories. So let's start by talking about the tax basics for sole proprietors in private practice. Now, if you've never done anything special to fill out any sort of application to file your taxes as a different type of entity and you're just doing private practice, then you are probably a sole proprietor. And that just means that you file your taxes as part of your personal income tax return. So if you are a sole proprietor, there are two forms that you need to fill out in order to file your taxes. First is Form 1040, which you would be filling out regardless, and a Schedule C. The IRS has an instruction form to help guide you regarding how to fill out the Schedule C form, so if you are a sole proprietor, I recommend you read through the instructions as you fill out the form. Just want to make sure you're doing everything properly. Now, for most therapists, the trickiest part of the Schedule C form is properly filling out Part 2 expenses, because as you'll see, it's not as simple as just naming how much your clients have paid you for sessions and then naming how much your overhead expenses cost you for the year in one sort of bulk number. Now, though there is some work in parsing out what categories each of your expenses fall into in order to complete this section of the form, the good news is most, if not all, of your expenses in private practice are tax deductible. That means that the IRS lets you subtract some of your overhead costs from your total revenue and then just pay some of your taxes from that smaller number. Now, if you'd like some help understanding these different categories of tax deductions, I have a whole video covering what goes in which category of tax deductions. So I've linked to that video below if you'd like to check it out. Nearly all of us as therapists in private practice don't need to fill out Part 3, Cost of Goods Sold, since we are selling a service rather than physical goods, and the cost of goods sold is referring to actual items sold. In Part 4, information on your vehicle applies to therapists who use their car as part of their work and wish to deduct the cost of gas and wear and tear on your car. In Part 5, other expenses is where you would list any expenses for your business that didn't fall into any of the categories that you reported in Part 2. And there you have it, the basics of filing your taxes as a sole proprietor. The trickiest part is making sure you're keeping track of your bookkeeping throughout the year, otherwise you got a little more work to do, my friend. Now, if instead you're filing your taxes as an S corporation, then things do look a little bit different for you. So let's hop into the basics of that. Now, filing as an S corp does have some tax benefits over and above filing as a sole proprietor. However, the process of filing those taxes as an S corp is a little bit more involved. Now, as an S corp, you fill out a form called the 1120 2020-S.
Now, a teensy bit of sad news for you, but if you file as an S Corp and you pay taxes on the calendar year, then unfortunately the tax deadline for Form 1120-S wasn't automatically extended for you this year and was due on March 15th, 2021. If you did file for an extension by the 15th, then your new deadline for the form is September 15th. If you operate on a fiscal year schedule instead, then your deadline for Form 1120-S is the 15th day of the third month following the end of the fiscal year. Kind of complicated, I know, right?
So let's take a look at this form together. You'll notice that the income and deductions section of the form looks similar to those sections on the Schedule C form for sole proprietors. But after that, things start to look a little different. So make sure you follow along with the IRS's instructions for the 1120-S form as you fill it out so that you don't miss a beat. As therapists filing as an S Corp, it's mandatory to fill out 3 additional sections after the first page: Schedule B, Schedule D, and Schedule K. Schedule B, other information, refers to your accounting methods, stock ownerships, gross receipts, and a host of other questions. Schedule D is for reporting any capital gains or losses. And Schedule K brings together information about your business income, deductions, and any tax credits your business qualifies for. And then the 3 remaining schedules are optional depending on your situation. Schedule L is your business's balance sheet. So if you haven't had more than $250,000 in receipts this year, or held more than $250,000 in assets, you do not need to complete this. This will be designated instead on Schedule B. Schedule M1 is where you report any adjustments and discrepancies between reported income or losses on your books and what you are reporting on your taxes. Schedule M2 is where you report retained earnings, or rather what you invested back into your business. So as you can see, filing as an S Corp has a few more steps to consider in order to make sure you file your taxes properly, but it could be completely worth it in order to skip on, some of those self-employment taxes that otherwise you'd have to owe on all of your income rather than on just your salary. Whew, well, that was quite an overview. I know I just sort of grazed the surface on the basics of filing your taxes as a sole proprietor and an S Corp, but hopefully this gives you a sense of empowerment to approach your taxes this year by giving you a kind of overall bird's eye view of what you need to fill out. Now, if you've already been meticulously keeping track of all of your revenues and expenses for the 2020 tax year, and even itemizing which category your deductions fall into, awesome! You may be all set to just go ahead and complete the corresponding form as a sole proprietor or S corporation and submit your taxes. Give yourself a pat on, I was gonna say a little pat on the back, but make it a big one, a big double pat on the back. But if you hadn't realized how important it is to keep track of all of your expenses during 2020, or if just for whatever reason you dropped the ball because there was plenty of stuff to distract us in 2020, you may benefit from the help of an accounting professional to help make sure you're doing your taxes properly. If this is you, then Herd Bookkeeping and Tax might be a great option for you. And in fact, I had the opportunity to try out Herd's services for the 2020 tax year, and I was completely surprised by what they had to offer. I thought I was going to receive some software that automatically just gives me an expense report showing me how my profits and losses broke down. They did give me that, but I also got real interaction with a live human being who is an accountant who specializes in working with therapists. And you can continuously have that live support with a real person who can consult with you not only on your taxes, but also in how you're approaching your finances in private practice as a whole. So if you are looking for seamless, all-in-one accounting support specifically tailored to your private practice's needs without dropping $1,000+ on an accountant, Herd might be a great fit for you. And because the 2020 tax deadline has been extended to May 17th, it's not too late to sign up to have Herd help you with your 2020 taxes. But I will say that deadline is sneaking up on us, so you might not want to dilly-dally on that for too long. Feel free to click the link in my description box in order to learn more about Herd's services to see if they may be a good fit for you and your practice. I also left links in the description box to all of the articles that I referenced in this video, as well as all the various tax forms that we referred to and all of the IRS instructions to fill those out. So you should have access to everything you need in the description box. All right, my friend, now that you have everything that you need, go forth and conquer those taxes. Or if you're still feeling like taxes are like trudging through mud, go forth, trudge slowly through the mud and trust that you will come out the other side. It won't last forever. I believe in you. You can do it. Well, I hope you found this video helpful as you prepare your taxes this tax season. And until next time, from one therapist to another, I wish you well. From your total income,